Another colleague who's never really short of personal opinions is independent Senator Ann Cools, and she joins me here in the studio. Well, Senator, should he resign?
Well, I think that's a judgment that he and he alone should make. My concern here, you say, I think somebody referred to me as an ally. I wouldn't describe myself as an ally.
Colleague, I think, and you are a colleague.
I am a colleague, definitely. But I would describe myself as a person who doesn't rush easily to judgment. That's number one.
It's a pretty thorough investigation, though, Senator.
Well, but the Senate hasn't processed it yet. So the Senate ethics officer did her investigation, but that is her investigation. That report has to come before the Senate. So it hasn't begun yet, and we're not sitting, we're off for March break.
Okay.
So just to let you know, but my concern is that rushes to judgment are usually bad things. And I have a British background, I'm sure you know that. And I really strongly believe that we should never rush to judgment. And in any sort of judgment, we continue to assume innocence until proven guilt.
Legally.
So it's not legally. Those are principles that I was raised on.
But tell me, if the facts as discovered, the facts as presented, are held up to scrutiny, what's your view of those facts?
Well, my judgment is out. I'm waiting for the judgment to take place in the Senate. I do not know what the Senate is going to do.
You. I'm asking you. I'm not asking for the collective.
Right. I'm telling you what I am doing. I will not be pushed into making any bad decisions or cruel decisions. You know, I remind you of the principle, justice is administered in mercy. So it is not an instinct of mine, off with his head. But I just remind him my nature.
With respect, it doesn't sound like Senator Meredith is really disputing that. He's tried to make amends. He's said that he's consulted God. His wife has forgiven him. His children have forgiven him. So clearly, what he's done is not in dispute. It's what the punishment should be. I mean, he has said, I have sought forgiveness for what I've done, and I've worked to achieve that forgiveness. He's not saying I didn't do it.
Right. And I read that document today myself. But what I seem to hear from you and from those who are pushing is that they want a Senate judgment on him. And that is not an easy thing. And that's where I'm coming from.
I hear you, but you're an independent senator, right? You're with an independent group.
I would suspect that there are many senators who agree with me.
Do you support him being ousted from this independent group? He
was not ousted. He was asked to step aside for a period of time till the issues were resolved. So he was not ousted or put out or expelled or anything like that, from what I understand.
But he was given this convener role for the group, even with the allegations hanging over his head, as I understand it. And that I wonder why you would give us sort of a quasi-leadership role to someone who was under that suspicion.
What you're talking about, the convener role. I do not know.
Well, it was announced back when they put Ann McCoy up, or Senator McCoy up, that he would be one of the conveners. Elaine McCoy, sorry.
Yes, well, I wasn't paying enough attention to that, I guess.
Oh, you didn't know that? Okay.
Well,
there was also talk that you'd go down to the UN status of women.
Well, that I know about because I'm going to that. And
did you support him going on that one?
Well, I didn't know that he was going. And I was asked about that earlier today. And apparently that is not the case. Apparently there was some administrative mistake in names. But I know that I'm going, and also Senator McFedrin are going.
Final question. What's this do to the Senate? Is there a reputational tarnish as a result of this?
I don't think so. It may be a reputational tarnish to himself and perhaps some members of his family and so on. But the Senate is a pretty sturdy institution.
It survived a lot in the last few years.
And it was intended to last as long as Canada, the country, lasts. So and for those reasons, there are very strict rules. For example, I could cite for you
let's not do that.
The rules. I'm not citing them. Don't get bored so quickly.
All right.
Just be patient. But what I'm saying to you, it is clear that the disqualification of a senator of his seat is not a simple matter, and it takes a huge process.
All right.
in the Senate, because the
that's-
senators have the last say.
And that's ongoing. We're going to
Well,
wait
it
and
hasn't
see.
started
All
yet.
right.
It hasn't. It hasn't. It doesn't start till something hits the floor, a
right.
motion or something.
We will see what happens.
But remember,
Okay.
a
Innocent until
man
proven
is
guilty.
innocent till
Gotcha.
proven guilty.
Senator McCall, Senator Cools, thank you. Appreciate you coming on. All right.